Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that in the opinion of this House, the Government of Ontario should implement a province-wide industry stewardship plan promoting a no-cost program that encourages unwanted clothing and textiles be donated to local charitable and non-profit organizations instead of sending these items to landfills.
Ms. Skelly has moved private member's notice of motion number 34. Pursuant to Standing Order 98, the member has 12 minutes for her presentation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And it is an honour to be presenting my private member's motion to the House this afternoon. Speaker, I'd like to share with you today a shocking statistic. 85% of North America's unwanted clothing ends up in our landfills. That's more than 24 billion pounds of discarded clothing each and every year. The truth is, most consumers are simply unaware of the huge environmental cost of throwing away their clothes, and the ballooning and expensive clothing industry known as fast fashion simply doesn't help. My private member's motion tackles the issue of textile waste by encouraging consumers across Ontario to think twice before they throw out their used clothing and goods, and instead donate them to their local charities. The objective of my motion is to give used clothing a second life and local charities a helping hand. I want Ontarians to stop before they throw away more of their used clothing and to follow these 3 simple words: don't dump, donate. We tend to think that if a shirt has a stain on it or if a pair of pants is worn out, there isn't any use for them, so we naturally throw them out. However, the reality is that our clothes, in fact, do have an afterlife, regardless of the state that they're in. There are several charities and nonprofit organizations that rely on revenue from the sale of used clothing and other items to fund their operations. What's also interesting to note is that charities will take your clothing donations even if they're not in good condition, because that material can be recycled. I learned about this last year when I met with stakeholders from Value Village. They explained to me that clothing and other items they collect get sent to sorting facilities, including one here in Toronto. Whatever can be sold is distributed to Value Village's charity stores. The rest is recycled for other purposes. This includes sending tattered clothing to factories in places like India, where the fabrics are de-threaded and the fibers are used to create a product called shoddy. That product can then be repurposed as insulation or underlay for carpets. Value Village has many ways of collecting used clothing and goods, including purchasing these items from charities and nonprofits, such as Diabetes Canada. Through this, Value Village has paid over $400 million to Ontario nonprofits in the last 10 years and has helped divert more than 134 million pounds of material from Ontario's landfills each year. Speaker, I am thrilled that my motion is being supported by various charitable organizations that I've spoken with over the past few months. One of these organizations is the Salvation Army. In 2017-2018, the Salvation Army Thrift Store National Recycling Program helped to divert over 79 million pounds of clothing, textiles, and household items from local landfills through its 108 thrift stores and 9 recycling centres across Canada. This program supports over 2,000 jobs and helped the Salvation Army put over $6 million into communities in need right across Canada. Here's how the Salvation Army sees it. Please allow me to read a few paragraphs from their letter of support for this motion. As an environmental steward for over 100 years in Canada, the Salvation Army Thrift Store is a firm believer in giving gently used clothing and textiles a second chance at life. Help us create cleaner communities by donating to divert from landfills while making a difference for neighbours in need and the planet that we share. The Salvation Army Thrift Store makes every donation count in making a difference for neighbours in need and, again, the planet we all share. We encourage our communities to support initiatives that keep gently used clothing and textiles out of landfills through organizations such as our own. Diverting textiles to the Salvation Army thrift store benefits the environment, extending their life by reducing the overproduction of consumer goods and slowing textiles going into landfill. It also benefits those in need locally and provides guests with the opportunity to shop for items they could otherwise simply not afford. Speaker, another organization with a similar program that has sent a letter of support for my motion is Diabetes Canada. Over the past 30 years, Diabetes Canada has grown to become Canada's largest clothing recycler. Through their branded donation bins and curbside pickups, they help to divert over 99 million pounds of textiles from landfills each and every year in Canada. Consider their 2017 numbers. In that year, Diabetes Canada collected approximately 17 million pounds of clothing and 14 million pounds of household items from homes just across Ontario. They raise approximately $10 million yearly to fund research, education, and advocacy projects to support Canadians living with diabetes and pre-diabetes, including 4 million here in Ontario. One of the keys to success of Diabetes Canada's program is their partnerships with local municipalities. The City of Markham is one of their success stories. Why is this important? Because in April of 2017, Markham became the first municipality in North America to ban textile waste at the curb. Markham has 155 of its own designated donation bins located at city facilities, and all donated items are given to local charitable organizations such as Diabetes Canada and the Salvation Army. As part of my research for this motion, I met with Claudia Marcels, Markham's Senior Manager of Waste Management. She shared with me that it's important to partner with local charities because people are more willing to donate if they know their local community is being helped and that the charity is indeed legitimate. The program has been very successful, with the City of Markham collecting 11 million pounds of used clothing and other items in its first year alone. As I mentioned, Madam Speaker, the point of my motion is to nudge consumers to think twice before throwing out their used clothing. Clearly, when 85% is still going into dumps, there is more work to be done, which is why this motion is necessary. Given the impact that fast fashion is having on our environment, I believe that this awareness needs to begin with our fashion retailers. Some retail chains, such as H&M, have programs where clothing donated to their stores can be shredded back into fibers and reused to make new clothes. Since the inception of their clothing donation program, H&M has collected nearly 18,000 tons of textiles. This amounts to over 89 million T-shirts. In 2018, H&M collected over 600,000 pounds of textiles in their stores here in Canada. Some of the denim that is sold in H&M is made from recycled material. In fact, 35% of H&M's clothing is now made from recycled or sustainable fabrics, and they hope to reach 100% by the year 2030. The fashion industry must play a key role, making sure that consumers fully understand how their purchases can have an impact on the environment. But consumers can also get involved, and this is the fun part of my motion. As part of this initiative, I am encouraging Ontarians under the age of 30 to participate in a province-wide competition to design a logo encouraging consumers to donate used clothing and other items to their local charities.
Great idea.
The motion encourages designers and manufacturers to then sew the logo on their clothing, retailers to display that logo in their stores, and charities to display the logo on their donation bins. Those young people under the age of 30 who wish to participate will have until May 3rd to submit their designs to Don't Dump, Donate at pc.ola.org. We will then have a panel that will select a winning design. My hope is that the fashion industry will recognize the power of this initiative and voluntarily embrace the winning symbol. I look forward to seeing the creative talents of our province's young people being put into action. Who knows? With the talent pool we have here, this symbol might be adopted right around the world. Speaker, I am pleased that the logo design part of my motion has received positive feedback from stakeholders, including from Sean Shannon, President and CEO of the National Diabetes Trust, which is the social enterprise branch of Diabetes Canada. Here's what Sean wrote in support of this motion. Diabetes Canada supports the promotion of reuse and recycling of used clothing and is pleased that a proposed addition of a donate label on all new clothes sold in Ontario is being considered. We support the creation by the Government of Ontario of a province-wide industry stewardship plan that encourages landfill diversion of used clothing and textile donation in support of registered charitable organizations and nonprofits. An estimated 1 billion pounds of textiles go to Ontario landfill sites every year. Those unwanted textiles can be recycled to generate much-needed funds to support the more than 4.4 million Ontarians living with diabetes or pre-diabetes. Speaker, as we know, our landfills are over capacity. This is not new, which is why, Speaker, if there are not enough dumps around to keep up with the amount of waste we send to them, if there is anything we can do to reduce how much we send to our landfills, we should be promoting it now. If we are able to help the government create jobs and support our local charities all at the same time, then this motion is a win-win-win for Ontario. I'm asking my colleagues today to join me in doing our part as Ontario leads the way in addressing this significant environmental concern. I'm looking forward to further debate of my motion this afternoon, and I urge all members to remember these 3 simple words. Don't dump, donate. Thank you.
Well done.